Drive.
Filmmakers love this town.
In this Artbeat Chicago special, making movies, big budget, low budget, all over town. We visit the set of the CBS series Early Edition and meet star Kyle Chandler, who recently directed his first episode.
Some little inner voice went, yeah, I'd love to do that. Before I knew, I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Action! We'll sneak aboard the CTA with a guerrilla crew of independents. Okay. Tag along with the nervous young filmmaker as he pitches a potential investor.
Let's pick up the pace. He's got a conference call at 12:30.
Meet the parents. And get a rare peek at the funniest movie you may never see. That and more in this special edition of Artbeat Chicago.
Funding for Artbeat Chicago is provided by the Polk Brothers Foundation, a foundation for Chicago families, the Lloyd A. Fry Foundation, Sara Lee Corporation, and by the members of Channel 11.
Mark? Camera Mark. Okay, we're rolling.
This is one of the most photogenic cities in America. It truly is, and so filmmakers love this town.
Well, this is definitely Lower Wacker Drive. We should be very close to the Honorable Richard J. Daley Plaza. That's where they got that Picasso. Yep.
When they need to establish Chicago, and they got a short period of time to visually put that up, this is the station. This is the spot. And so that's why we keep coming back to this station.
Pursuit has left the interstate. Now we're on the L.
In 1999, which essentially was the biggest year Chicago has ever had in terms of feature film and television production, we had 43 projects, all shooting, sometimes 6 or 7 of them simultaneously, totaling $124 million, and the creation of what is 16,000 jobs over the course of the year. That's a huge industry.
After the paper is printed on both sides and then carried to the conveyor to the,
Okay, we're on location today at the Sun Times building in town. We got your wardrobe trailers, you got the actor trailers, it's the electric truck, you got the grip truck, craft service, props, camera. As an assistant director, I'm at like the lowest point. I'm just starting out really in this business. I take care of first team, which would be all the actors. I make sure they get through hair and makeup, go to wardrobe. You watch what everyone's doing, and the people that have been working in this business a long time, you watch what they do and it looks so second nature to them. And I just watch them and I want to get to that point. Well, there's a lot of lingo in this business, okay? For example, a best boy. A best boy would be either a grip or an electrician. I have no idea why they call it a best boy. Grips do a lot of the grunt work. They do probably have the hardest job on the show, physically. DP is the director of photography. He's the one that makes decisions on the lighting.
We're rolling.
An AD is an assistant director. On this show we have a first AD, a second AD, a second AD, and an additional second AD.
Here we go. And we cut, thank you. Reloading the camera. Camera reload.
Well, listen, could you do me the favor of reading me the Sun Times?
Absolutely, positively.
You just pick it up as you go along, and as you work. And sometimes you feel really stupid because you're like, hey, what's, you'll be in the business for like 2 years. What is this?
Hey, Mark.
My basic job is to keep the actors from getting blurred. I've worked with dozens of cinematographers who have either won or been nominated for Academy Awards. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're that you're playing on championship teams. But I think what gets a lot of us through our days is that we want people to respect our craft.
Hey, Mark. Are you sure you're up for this?
Look, Mercy, he's just a little kid.
I know.
Well, it's freezing outside. Even if he only gets lost, missing today could mean dead tomorrow. Besides, it's easy. The paper says he goes missing after leaving the hospital at 10:30, so...
I should go with you.
Wait, look, I've got the health inspector coming by. I need you to meet with him. Vadim's very capable. It's not a big deal.
So, which one drives?
Oh, Vadim.
It's a joke.
Great.
I drive.
She's gonna go. Freezing out.
You know, our worst enemy is time. You only have 8 days to prepare, and you shoot a 1-hour show in 8 days also. So you have 16 days to do the whole episode. In a feature film, you have maybe 3 months to scout, and then you have 65 days to shoot a 2-hour movie.
Some little inner voice went, yeah, I'd love to do that. Before I knew it, I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
He had a lot of people with a lot more experience around him who were telling him, well, you know, you have to do that, and then all of a sudden you see his head snap, you know, like, yeah?
So it was a very interesting process because I was in every scene. My direction would go across, but when a scene was completed, I would have to trust the cameraman, I would trust my DP, I would trust my AD, and I would trust these people around here who do the job who are my friends and say, did we get it?
I think it's a glamour that people think that it's involved with a television show, but once they're here, they realize that there really isn't any glamour to it, and actually sometimes it's very monotonous, and it can be very boring. I heard an actor tell me one time, he said, the most exciting day of your life is your first day on a movie set, and the most boring day of your life is your second day on a movie set. So that pretty much tells you right there. Well, when you're sitting home watching an early edition, you have such a different perspective because you've seen everything that goes on behind the scenes.
You want him closer? How's in there?
Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay.
You know that a PA is standing like right behind the corner, like talking to the actors he goes in, or someone's laying on the floor giving a cue. You pull back and there's like stands, lights, you know, people standing behind doors, like cueing people and things like that. That's the funny part. You know. We've all been together for 4 years and we know each other's habits, and it's like a family. Sometimes a dysfunctional family, but you know, it's a family nonetheless.
Next month I might not be making films, you know, that's how I feel. I would like to be, but who knows? I mean, everything's so unsure. Yeah, but all I have is like passion and like, you know, friends, trust, inspiration, all those things. I got nothing else. And action! My film Super Kamada is about a man who couldn't make it. He's supposed to be 32 years old. He has experienced alienation since he was very young. And this film starts 3 months after he got laid off from the factory, when his fascination with a superhero, he started crossing the borderline between the delusion and the reality. Cut! Beautiful, that's a take.
Super Kamada, ready for justice, here I am.
This is where I live, and this is also where I'm shooting most of the stuff, because my main character is supposed to be living here. And in order to get rid of my life and bring in my main character's life, I had to like overhaul my whole apartment, get rid of bookshelves. Jung helped me out on that. Repaint the room and put some stuff. So it's pretty messy right now. A lot of the things that James, my main character, goes through is something that I might have experienced personally. And instead of going that way, I might have gone this way. But I can easily imagine myself, anybody going that direction. I just try to create a character because I was very interested in that feeling. I was having myself being alienated, you know, feeling more resentful than I should be or whatever. I started thinking, what happens if I create a character and push him all the way out there, you know? And then he must be interesting, you know? So that's how the character of James Kamada was developed. And I just kept pushing him until he hit that point. This is like part of the art direction of it. My main character is thinking that the entire world is made up of lies, while he's the only one in the world who knows the truth. Which, you know, so kind of promises his collapse at the end. Very often I want to quit. Like, why am I doing this? I want to go home and maybe become a ramen noodle maker on the street, you know? That would be like a fantastic life. Why am I making film? you know, but it's worth it. Like at the end of the day, very often I feel it's worth it. After a good shot, I feel it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm doing what I believe in. So, yeah, so it's up and down, always. I love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it. It goes all the way.
I'm playing James Kamada. He's the guy that he's slowly descending into insanity because he can't deal with life in his own way. So he's becoming a superhero in his own mind, and he starts to spread the truth to the world. And my alter ego on the film is to produce this film, which is pretty much ending up in the same result as the character, so it's been pretty easy. Friends owe each other favors all the time, but when they're filmmakers, they know that they're going to need help on their film. And so they're more than willing to help you on yours, because not only do you get the experience, but you get to also ensure that the other person's going to work on your film.
Well, if I fall, just catch the camera. Seriously.
Okay.
Because I think I won't get hurt that bad. The film that went to Sundance was called Hisao. It's about this guy whom I met in LA. He's a cafe singer. He's 54 years, he's exactly as old as my mom is. And he's rather poor, and he has this energy, you know, he's pursuing his dream at his age, and I thought he was a wonderful subject. Very uplifting person. But on the other side of it is that something that I didn't want to see, which is some guy pursuing dream and then rather in the poverty at the age of 50-something, which I don't want to see myself doing, tell the truth. But he was beautiful, and I wanted to capture that, and so it was a big deal because I think last year I was the only one from Illinois who went to Sundance. So I went to Park City. But basically, everything looked so remote. Beautiful people, very beautiful people, you know, $12 tuna sandwich, all that kind of thing, but it was so remote. I wasn't happy at all being there. I felt I didn't belong. When I told some people that we were going to shoot on CTA trains, they all said it's impossible, be careful, they're going to bite you, they're going to kick you out, all kinds of scary stories. So in order to get this shot done, what we decided was just to go in, set up the camera, shoot, and get out. So that's basically what we did, and fortunately nobody bothered us. And action! Beautiful, that's it. We got it. Independent filmmaking is no fantasy for me. I mean, this is something I'd rather not do. I need money, you know, basically, and then I need support and all that. I mean, I enjoy it, but eventually I would like to be making films with some like financial support. You gotta shoot a feature. It's as simple as that.
Feature films are where it's at. That's where all the money comes in. The film is based on the 1960 Starved Rock murders. A 20-year-old man in this town of LaSalle County, Illinois, murdered 3 women. It was a frenzy of media. It was the biggest thing of its time, 1960. And how, you know, a 20-year-old boy, basically, who was a dishwasher at the lodge, could possibly, you know, murder these 3 women in cold blood. In the film, I want to explore what demons does he have to have inside in order to, you know, to commit a crime like this. In order to shoot, you know, my feature, this film, Starved Rock, it will require a lot of money. Yeah, the meeting today with Mike, I mean, it could, you know, within an hour, I could go in there, and an hour from now, you know, I could have, you know, everything that I need to get the project started. But I guess when I approach him, I'm going to be, you know, trying to sell probably 1 unit of, because we go by units when we're, you know, with the film. You can, you know, each unit runs at like $6,500 a unit, and the total budget of, you know, $650,000. So if, you know, even if I left with him buying 1 unit or up to 10, you know, or all of them, that would be great. I mean, I can't let, you know, I can't let myself get nervous. It's not worth it. So I just want to go in, you know, very confident. Like I said, very casual. My family they've always been behind me, you know, even when I was a kid, because, you know, when you're young, you're into, like, you know, big action stunt things. And so I remember my mom, you know, almost having a heart attack, seeing us standing on the roof, like jumping off into our bed mattress in the backyard so I could get a shot.
I'm a friend of Joe's and helped him out on some smaller projects that he's done, and trying to, you know, lend him a hand on this. Namely today, introducing him to a friend of mine who was the executive producer on one of my films, Michael Ligamaro, and see if he's interested in getting involved in this project. I don't anticipate him putting in a lot more than a single unit, but it's important to say, for him to be able to say, look, I believe in this project, that's why I'm investing in it. Okay, well, we'll be there in about 5 minutes or less, and you can get out whenever you need to. Okay? Thanks, man. Bye. Let's pick out the pace. He's got a conference call at 12:30. So, 12:02.
I need a copy.
This is 3 films later now that
I don't know if they want to just, like, kind of set things up with them. I don't.
No, let's just go and do it. The secretary probably doesn't know anything about it.
I'll wing it.
Okay.
Hello. How's it going? Is it?
So, what would you like? What do you want from me?
No, I just I just wanted to come and just present to you, get it out there, have you look over the materials and see if if you wanted to become come involved at a certain level of the production. And trying to do this now since I was a kid, and it's like I feel like I'm on the verge of getting somewhere, at least being able to make a living just doing film, but we'll see.
How much money do you think you can line up?
Me personally, like with my friends and my family.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I've already tapped that resource for my last 2 films, but I think that we can. I could get 50,000 probably. And the weekends are devoted to pretty much in my apartment, working, either trying to write, come up with new ideas, or working on the projects that I'm trying to get developed. I don't have a social life at all, really. I don't go out on the weekends, I don't go out at night. I will definitely be in touch, expect a call in like a week or so.
Okay.
I think it was all right. I mean, I think maybe I was fumbling around a little bit, but I think it was fine.
Joe's, he's pretty much together. He's a lot more together than I thought he'd be, frankly.
It's due time for him to have to be involved with something that's going to be a hit, which this will be a hit. So,
do I think I'm going to give this guy any money? I don't know if I'm going to give this guy any money.
I can't let myself have fun until I've accomplished some of my goals. But lately I've been thinking I do need to go have some fun. I'm thinking about going to Vegas or something.
Hang in there, buddy. Help is on the way.
So there's a sequel to The Fugitive called U.S. Marshals, which was shot here a few years back, and the original script called for an equally dramatic opening, much like in the original Fugitive, where there was a train wreck.
We got the script, and I called Rich up and I said, Rich, you're going to love this one.
And from the writer's perspective, the best way to accomplish an equally as dramatic opening was to have an emergency crash landing of a 747 on Lakeshore Drive.
And believe it or not, we started to research it.
For a brief period of time there was a lot of thought on the filmmaker's part that, hey, this would be fantastic, this would be great. And it really wouldn't be much more than probably closing Lakeshore Drive for a couple of weeks at most. When I said to them about Lakeshore Drive, this may not be possible, and they held up a piece of paper and said, but it says right here in the script, Lakeshore Drive.
And then we started bringing up to the production managers, how about landing in swamps? And they wound up finding it in southern Illinois. The truth be told, the independent filmmakers are generally a nicer group of people because they're more into the process and they're more into just getting it done and getting it done politely.
Meet the parents.
If it's a really good film, it'll rise. It's like cream, it'll come to the top. The trouble is you got to work hard in getting it to that marketplace. That's the hardest thing.
I knew a guy just like you. Went to visit his fiance's parents. Tragic.
We always believed this was a great film, no matter what the distributor said at the time, or what we knew we had something.
Meet the Parents is kind of a nightmare story of a guy meeting his fiance's parents for the first time, and basically everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and it kind of snowballs out of control into a disastrous black comedy weekend.
Oh my God, around your feet! Get off my run! Take your shoes off! Oh.
We grew up together in a suburb of Chicago, which is Park Ridge.
We met in first grade in Mrs. Hubble's class.
Mrs. Hubble.
You know, the thing I remember about Columbia is we always did comedy, and everyone else would do these very arty, serious films. And I remember they would have these long discussions with the teacher about the script before, and the discussions for our stuff was always, okay, that's good, fine.
Next, Greg came up with this concept about meeting the in-laws during our Second City, while we were doing workshops at Second City. And that's sort of how the idea started.
And I never dropped an idea, and eventually it became a short film, and then the short film became the feature Meet the Parents.
Well, one of the things is in the scene where Greg dumps the roast on the floor.
It's the mom's big roast, and it kind of ends up sliding onto the floor.
Ends up sliding on the floor, and we needed a dog to come in and take the roast. And the dog wouldn't go for the roast.
We got, and the dog's owner says, "Oh no, I never feed him meat. He doesn't eat meat." So we got the only.
It was like vegetarian dog.
So what happened? He ended up licking it, and we ended up adding the sound effect of munching, which Jim did.
Which actually, that is my.
It's Jim eating Wonder Bread.
You just know that your career is going so well. We're in a sound studio, and they're like, "Okay, stick a bunch of bread in your mouth and chomp."
Would anyone like some more salad?
Here at the log cabin, we did a scene where Greg comes to the bar with his fiancée and meets her old boyfriend.
You went out with that guy? The guy with the t-shirt wrapped around his head?
Well, I broke up with him before I met you.
And disaster ensues after that.
You, me, outside.
Look, I don't want to fight you.
Hey, there's gonna be a fight.
No, there's not. There's not going to be a fight. The police were actually called here because people were fight, 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 and evidently the extras were so realistic that a neighbor called the police, and they actually showed up in the middle of a take. And initially, it played the music box and did very, very well there. It sold down a lot of shows, and we had great reviews.
We still couldn't sell it to a distributor, though, which we were trying to do.
All the studios basically had passed on it.
They just didn't feel that it was strong enough to go out on a theatrical distribution.
The production values, it had no names in it. It was, we had a lot of things working against it. Right this very second, they're shooting the film on the East Coast, and
it's in production in New York.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in the fall, and it stars Robert De Niro and Ben Stiller as Greg.
And I think Blythe Danner's the mom.
It's a big movie. $60 million budget is what I heard. I don't think it's something that most filmmakers aspire to. I don't think it's, let's make this movie so they can remake it. It is actually in the contract when we sold the film. I have 2 tickets to the premiere. I suppose you do too, don't you? Or?
I only have 1. We're not allowed within 200 feet of De Niro. If our names aren't in the credit, I think we'd be a little upset. Okay, where it says animal trainer and location assistant. That's where our names will be.
on, table.
Funding for Artbeat Chicago is provided by the Polk Brothers Foundation, a foundation for Chicago families, the Lloyd A. Fry Foundation, Sara Lee Corporation, and by the members of Channel 11.
Produced in Chicago by WTTW.